JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Wednesday, September 10th, 3:30 on this fine afternoon. Talk really quick about the market. Some names that looking at go from their S&P almost just clinging on to a green, clinging on the green, up about 10%. Again, apologize for the voice, folks. Still under the weather. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be fine. But yeah, interesting. It's something, a lot of times I say I hate gaps, and considering the surprise PPI data, I I figured I was hoping that that would hold, or at least hold the gap, and it just, I guess there's still some anxiety heading into tomorrow's CPI data, and you have a lot of folks trying to wait, look at the numbers and either dismiss it, or especially those who've been saying, tariffs are going to cause inflation, right? And it has, I'm sure it has, but um, not to the extent that a lot of folks have been expecting. So we'll see tomorrow. I don't think it's going to change much in regards to obviously the Fed cut. I think that's 100%. It's just if it's hotter than expectations, what does that do for the market? Um, so it's like it's tough, right? So you take a look today, just this afternoon, the VIX just went into the green. I mean, it's still at 15, so nothing crazy. The Dow's been red all day. Um, but I mean, remarkable day for some names, right? I mean, Oracle, Synapsys, right? I just posted that before. Synapsys puts this, what Synopsis, I forget how you pronounce it, but the stock had come off I think it was 200 and something dollars back in Liberation Day, or 280, all the way up to like 500 or whatever, and then horrible earnings and what have you. And the puts, if you had gotten puts, they're up 100,000%, right? The 490 puts, the last trade on them are 10 cents. They're $105 right now. I mean, do the math there. Pretty remarkable stuff. And I used to say the power of options. So I mean, you trade for 10 years, never get it, 15 years, never get it. I'd have to go and see my Hall of Fame. I don't think I've had 100,000, but anyways, that's kind of like the market's like heading into tomorrow, just cautious, I was looking, I always had V's on the watch list this morning as a potential put hedge, and then watching the tumbler broke the 50-day. No, and was it 50 or 200 day? And then I was looking at the 330s. I passed, it goes down to 336, and then it bounced. So I'm like, oh, good, I didn't grab those. And then it's sitting here at 339. So that might be a good hedge, but I'll just wait till tomorrow. That's kind of overall market. So just quick on individual names. MDB, I figured was going to go on a wild tear after the open on Oracle's numbers. Sure, it took off right out of the gate, and then it continued to 340. I was looking for some decent strikes. I got those 360s. They were looking okay for a little bit, and then it just kind of fizzled. And then once it started to break 340, I'm like, up the lower it goes, the quicker the premiums are going to deteriorate, right? And, I mean, we've seen that before. At 640, the 340 are looking great. It goes down to 335, and those premiums get destroyed. So I typically don't salvage weekly positions. I don't know how many times over the years where you have a weekly position, and then there's either an upgrade or some kind of catalyst, and then those are a couple thousand% on a Friday. So on the flip side, I didn't have many. I figure I could probably use that salvage to get more position, more calls if I see a bounce opportunity. So for now, I'll just revisit. But that one's been a monster. Of course, I missed the earnings, but I figured this could be one of those big gap run, consolidate after the big run, and then the next leg. And I mean, the stock was I think it was a 500 plus stock. Not saying that because of that, that's where it's going to go. I just think there's opportunity. So I'll continue to look at MDB for upside. And then GME, I pulled the trigger. Yesterday after the earnings, I'm like, I thought it was a decent report, well, enough for it to gap higher and run, right? And then you have the warrant that they're going to do, the warrant where they're going to allow you. I think it's shareholders of record. I think it's October 6th. We'll get a warrants, and the warrants will also trade. They'll have them trade, but every 10 shares you get one. So, which will be convertible. I don't know if you get it and it's worth 32 and you can sell, like, I don't know the whole logistics of it, but to me it sounds like they're trying to squeeze the shorts, right? Because what happens when you issue some kind of dividend like that, that means the person who's short, because you're going to wake up on October 6th, whenever it's effective, if you're a GameStop shareholder and you have 100, let's say, 1,000 shares, you're going to get 10 warrant dividends, right, to exercise. And I don't know if that you can exercise them at $32 and sell them right away. I don't know what that looks like, but I don't know if it's just you're going to get one of the warrants, and those will allow you to get the shares, and that'll trade as at a premium to where the stock price is. Like, so if the stock is at 25, will they trade at $7? I'll have to go look at that. I didn't take as much But what it does mean is there's implications if you're short the stock, right? Because that dividends, if you don't own the stock, that means you owe whoever you're borrowing it from that dividend. So in essence, it could cause people to cover. Still 16% short interest. So we'll see what happens. I'm not using that as just the pure case for it to rally. But then you also look at its earnings, the collectible side of their business continues to like, I guess we would say astound folks who are looking at the name thinking, oh, it's a dying brand. But anyway, rants for other days. So I did get some October strikes. I'll continue to look for opportunities because not only that, the chart, I was talking about, it's trading such a tight range. You have gap fills all the way up at 29 from its earnings in June. So like that one. Nike, disappointing, right? It looked like it was gap and go, 74.95, a breakout, and then maybe into the 80s by the end of the week, and then it just fizzled. Green to red by 11 o'clock, and then it's just been chopping around 74 bucks. Still like this one to break out. I'll wait for 74.95 to add some more strikes, and it won't take much for my calls to. They were up over 50% at times right at the open, and then boom, we get that reversal. Serve Robotics actually is red to green, green to red here too. I was looking at strikes; it was over 11:20 in the morning. Just tough, it doesn't make sense to chase things. The only one I should have chased this week was Reddit, right? And how many times last week was I talking about wasting energy watching Reddit because every time it does the gap at the open and runs by 10 o'clock, it reverses. And then finally today, it gaps, runs, and then just continues. And even if you look at the trading range since 12:30, when it hit 261, it's been kind of like almost like a flat line. And normally at a stock, you say, I don't like it to flat line. But for a stock like Reddit, which typically when you see it hit highs, it would reverse $7, $8. It hasn't done that. It's probably, I was saying this for the last couple of months, right? Reddit's going to $300, just a matter of the hold, right? It's the hardest part of the trade is the hold, especially when you have a name like Reddit, which trades $8, $10 swings in a matter of a couple hours, makes it very hard to hold. If it's a regular stock, it makes it very even more harder to hold when you have options that you can see premiums erode quickly and vice versa. So tough one. Sitting there, I was looking at the 280s earlier. I'm like, I could have probably on the rant yesterday afternoon. I was talking about the 260 to 255s, and those were up, 400, 500%, even more than that earlier. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be bitter pill to swallow. Seeing it $300 in a couple of weeks and not having a position, and I don't want to force a trade just because. But maybe at some point I'll look for some strike. I was thinking get to September 19th, 300s. Those were a dollar, but now they're $1.30 by $1.80, somewhere in there. So maybe tomorrow I'll look for some further out strikes depending on the CPI data. But the more the higher it goes and uh, more I wouldn't say more visibility gets, but people don't understand how Reddit works in real day world, right? Especially if they don't use it, because they think of it just like a forum, but it's like so much more. And now it's that whole data thing, and that data thing has been around Reddit for years, but it's like the last human element of the internet, right? Just straight bare bones content, right? You want to, it's like YouTube, but in word form with real people behind it, right? YouTube, you watch videos to fix your fridge. Reddit, you go to some kind of forum that talks about fixing your fridge, and you interact with people, and then these AI platform, the Chat GPT and all these other ones, Grok, they all use Reddit's knowledge, that base of information to create answers, right? And so it's like powerful. Made the joke, was it J-Rock yesterday? Apple should acquire them, right? It's what it is. It's the data side. Apple needs an AI platform. They need like a backbone. They don't really have that yet, but rants for other days. I'm trying to think. There were other names that I've been looking at this week. Like if we get into like a rate cut cycle, what names will look attractive here? Of course, a lot of housing names have run up already. Gosh, I wish Redfin was still trading, but the Zillows, the Rockets, those have all gone. But like, what other names? And me, I look at Pool, right? That's my name that I think. Surprise, not market's not agreeing. It's down another 1% here today, but. Anyway, rants for other days. Maybe tomorrow I'll have some names that I'll be looking at if the CPI data comes uh, in line. And you guys think the CPI data, right? If it comes in hotter than expected, people are going to say, "Oh, told you the PPI was just an anomaly," right? And the market's probably you'll see all the bearish headlines. Um, on the flip side, if it's cooler than expectation, you're going to get like a jumbo cut expectation from the Fed now. Because of the jobs report, and now it gives the ability for the Fed to do it without looking like they're bending the knee. So, going to be interesting. Anyway, have a great day, folks. I'll be back. Rock and roll.